Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and Manchester United transfer news live stream. Lots to talk about in today's show: transfer news, De Jong, Timber, Bish Bash Bosh, a little bit on Pau Torres, but nothing really reliable on Pau Torres, if I'm going to be honest with you. But what I am going to say, and before I get into the news and all of that, is I get the impression from what we've been told, what we know, what's come out, that Manchester United are trying to make their transfer business a little bit less public. In the past, United, everything that happens in transfers is all over social media, leaking it all to journalists. United, when they're working on a player, have made it very public. Now, we know from Fabrizio Romero that Manchester United are doing stuff internally. There is stuff going on internally at Manchester United, and they want to get multiple transfers done. And I think it's very much like, some players like Timber and De Jong, it might seem that it's gone quiet in terms of Timber and De Jong to Man United, but what we know is United are working behind the scenes, working internally on a deal for Timber and De Jong. And I saw a tweet from the United Muppeteers today that I'm going to read out, which I kind of agree with. The United Muppeteers have said that United are working on multiple positions with at least initial contacts made for Timber, Nunes, Frenkie de Jong and Pau Torres. Progress may appear slow, but from what I gather, it looks more like things are moving on all targeted areas rather than one position at a time. So this is from the Man United Muppeteers saying that, things might look slow, but it seems that United are, rather than doing one player at a time, are contacting all the players that they're interested in and will, slowly work on each deal rather than do one deal, get the next one done, get the next one done. They're in the early stages of all these deals. And I personally agree with that myself. I think that is likely what is going to happen as well. Ferguson said giving Klopp the Manager of the Year trophy nightmare despite Man City getting the league. A lot of people are outraged by Jurgen Klopp getting Manager of the Year, but look, at the end of the day, Man City only got one more point than them with a much more expensive squad. So I don't see the outrage about Klopp getting it, to be fair. And De Jong is a crucial bit of business for us. Looking at our targets, he would be by far our best if we can complete that deal. And you're absolutely spot on, Andrew. De Jong is a difficult deal to do. There's a lot of competition. He's a good player, but he basically has to leave Barcelona. Basically, what's come out by Xavi today on Frenkie de Jong is that Frenkie de Jong is a key player for us. This is what Xavi had said. He said that everything with de Jong is going to depend on our economic situation. We'll see what happens. I translate what Xavi said, saying, I like de Jong, but it's our economic situation. We've got to wait. I see that as, and I think it was United Analytics that tweeted this, by economic situation, Xavi means put a noteworthy bid and he's United's. De Jong has to go. They want to keep de Jong. De Jong wants to stay. He's going to have to go. Now, Man City could get him, Bayern could get him, PSG could get him, United could get him. We've got that 10R pool. But if you put in a big bid for de Jong, a good bid, 60 mil plus, I think you can get de Jong. The question is, will he come to us? Will he come to Bayern? Will he come to City? And we will talk about the de Jong news. Someone said Fabio Ruiz would be a good alternative to Frenkie de Jong, and I think he would. I actually wrote some notes on my phone about players that United should sign, and I'm making a TikTok video that I haven't made yet. It was about it was going to be like a 1-minute video on who I'd buy and sell at United, and I sort of did a Man United lineup for next season. I said we know that Ten Hag scored 120 million net spend, so I said the outs would be Wan-Bissaka, 15 million, Bailly 10 million, Telles 10 million, Williams 10 million, Martial 30 million. That's 70 million, 75 million raised in player sales. I also think Dean Henderson will go, but I have a feeling he'll go on loan. We'll also save 100 million on wages. So I put 75 million plus 120 million is just under 200 million to spend. I know it's not FIFA, but I'm trying to look at it in a realistic way. So for my 195 million budget, I've gone with Sousa, the attacking left back, to give Shaw some backup because we sell Telles, Williams and Wan-Bissaka. Timber would be centre back, but he'd also be Deleu's backup if there was issues at right back. We've also got Alvaro Fernandez as well, and Mark Girardo and maybe Ethan Laird that you bring through. Ten Hag's good working with youth. I'd gone with Florian Grotilish. Probably haven't said his name right, as a CDM on a 3, because the way I look at it is, okay, and this is an interesting take from me. We can't get Phillips, we can't get Rice, we can't get Tchouameni, we can't get Kamara. There's not many CDMs out there. There's Paulinho, there's Cooper Miners, Laymar's not really a CDM. There's Hedera. There's Enzo Fernandez. Is he ready? So I thought, this guy, Grotilish, available on a 3, decent CDM. If Ten Hag is playing a 4-2-3-1 and not a 4-3-3, then you don't need to spend 100 million on Declan Rice if you're playing 2 players in a pivot. And then I'd gone with De Jong, 60 million box to box. I'd gone actually with Siak, 25 million, right winger from Chelsea. Be cheaper than Anthony, work well under Ten Hag. And then I've gone with Scamacca, age 23, 40 million forward from not Sampdoria, that Italian team that starts with an S, and I can't believe I can't remember the name. And that was my sort of maybe that's what United could do. I was trying to look and think realistically about cheap players, and you'd have one big signing in De Jong and a lot of cheap players that are under really 40 million around him. And that's personally what I thought I would do. Obviously, my dream signing would be like Osimhen, Tchouaméni, Anthony, Koundé, Lamptey. But, I was trying to be somewhat realistic as well. I'd also look at Eriksen on the free, but I do think with Donny coming back, then you've got a backup for Bruno. But that was sort of what I would have done for the transfer window, actually, when thinking of it. And I think hopefully they do something similar. We know that, and we know this from Romero, we know this from multiple sources, United want a midfielder, defender, fullback, and a striker. Now, I am going to get to the Timber news. I'm going to get into the De Jong news in just a second and all of that. So make sure you subscribe. And Sassuolo, I forgive the spelling. That is the club. That is the club. I knew the name of the club, but it just left my mind. Smalling is playing like prime Maldini, is he? And Ruiz is very good as long as he does not extend his contract. Napoli are ridiculous with the asking fees. Napoli love to ask for a lot of money. They really, really do. I grew up a Man United fan, and then now Chelsea, my life. But I do have a soft spot for United. Changing teams, man. What are you on? Rice massively overpriced. Look, Rice would be brilliant, but when you need about 70 billion players, no, I'm joking. When you need about 10 new players and you can only get 5 in a window, you can't afford to spend your whole budget on Rice, especially if Ten Hag is going to play a 4-2-3-1. I think that Cooper Minas is currently likely CDM fit for you guys. I'm thinking value for money, who's available, maybe the Dutch link up with Ten Hag. I did think Cooper Minas as well, but a lot of people are saying it's not good enough, and I haven't watched him enough to really gauge how good he is. And I don't know, the dressing room with one player making X amounts while others making less will be bad for morale. Well, what United need to do, and what Ten Hag's number one priority is to figure out the dressing room issues, understand the dressing room issues, and get rid of the players that don't want to be here, and get rid of the players that are causing dressing room issues as well. Someone said get Neymar and Frenkie de Jong. None of them are CDMs, but I think they could work well in the pivot together, so I do agree. We're going to get into the Timber news now, so make sure you smash that like, make sure you subscribe as well. So we'll start with Timber, then we'll get into De Jong. So Romero came out and spoke about Timber today. I'll get into that, but I want to get into the less reliable journalists before we get into the more reliable journalists, so we work our way up. So today it's come out from Pedro Almeida, a Spanish journalist, saying Jurrien Timber is one step away from becoming a new Manchester United player. He said that the English club will pay 35 million euros, which is 28 or 29 million pounds for the Dutch player. That's come out from Pedro Almeida. Again, take it with a pinch of salt, not the best journalist in the world, but with Timber to United, I could see something happening in the next couple of days. I could really see it stepping up. Also come out, Erik ten Hag has a high opinion of Jurrien Timber, and he is a target for Manchester United this summer. It's now an important stage of Timber and his management. He can imagine leaving Ajax. From Pletty-Goal, they're saying Timber imagines himself leaving Ajax. Ten Hag wants Timber. It's at an important stage. There's an important decision to make. That's what they're basically saying. And then Alex Turk, who's a British journalist, said meetings with Manchester United and Timber's representatives took place in London today, confirming a meeting again with Timber's agents in United took place today. We know there's been a meeting in the past. They said there's not an agreement in place for Timber yet, but Manchester United are active ahead of the window. So again, confirming meetings, confirming talks have taken place. That's come out from Alex Turk. But we also got some news from Fabrizio Romano, if I can find it. And Fabrizio Romano said that Jurrien Timber has been discussed eternally at Manchester United in the last 48 hours. Romano also said that United will sign a new centre-back. Pau Torres and Jurrien Timber are on the looks. Romano said things are moving internally at Manchester United. Not much is being spread to social media, to journalists, but they are working on deals internally. And then Romano said that United are going to decide the next steps on the centre-back soon. I think right now what's going on is there's discussions about Pau Torres, there's discussions about Timber. We've spoken to both Pau Torres and Timber's representatives. I think Ten Hag wants Timber, the board want Pau Torres. Ten Hag's probably pushing for Timber. I think something will happen with Timber. I think we need to keep an eye out for Bayern Munich. I think Bayern are interested in Timber, but I think there's definitely something going on with Timber to United. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water, and then I will be back with the De Jong news as well. I think we'll get Timber. Now, look, I'm not psychic. I can't tell you who Man United are going to buy. I can't. I wish I could. But I would like Timber at Manchester United. And I can kind of see Timber coming to United. Barca president said De Jong does not want to leave. Yes, but the Barca president also basically said De Jong has to leave. So, two ways to look about it. Alessandro Bastoni of Inter being reported today. Yes, 60 million euros into centre-back. I don't think there's much in it. But I think if a more reliable journalist reports on it, then I will talk about that as well, because that report's relatively new as well. But let's get into the De Jong news. And then we'll get into Ten Hag's plans, because obviously Rob Dawson came out, and actually Rob Dawson said some really good things. Well, not really good things, but like really interesting things, if you get what I mean, about Manchester United, the situation, all of that. And he sort of spoke about Harry Maguire, and he said, look, Harry Maguire's future is uncertain at United. He's unlikely to be captain. It's going to be De Gea, Ronaldo, Bruno. I think you have to go to Ronaldo when you look at it, because there's reports that De Gea long-term isn't in Ten Hag's plans. Bruno, does he deserve it the way he ended the season and all of that? But I want to get into De Jong. So Xavi said that he likes De Jong, but it will depend on the economic situation, what happens with De Jong. So that's basically Xavi saying, put a bid in and De Jong is United's. If we put a good bid in, I think we'll get De Jong if he wants to come. He might want to go to Bayern. He might want to go to City. Sean Laporta's comments indicate that Barcelona, despite the improved CVC deal, still have financial issues, and they might have to sell a valuable player. And the deal for Frenkie de Jong is a 50-50. And as we know, they have a deadline closing in. United are pushing. So they, Barcelona need to make a certain amount of money by one of the first weeks in June, which, that is 2 weeks away. So something could happen with De Jong to United. It also came out from Plettigol that United are pushing to sign De Jong in the background. It's not easy. We know Laurie Whitwell said last week United are in the process of trying to get a deal for De Jong done. We know that United are trying to, are working on a deal for Frenkie de Jong. Laurie Whitwell, the Athletic Tier 1 source, said that. And Plettigol said that we're still pushing to sign him in the background, but it's not easy. I think United are working on the Timber deal right now. I think United are working on the De Jong deal right now. In fact, I know we're working on the Timber and De Jong deal right now. I know there's stuff going on behind the scenes. It was also said by Plettigol that Manchester United are trying everything to get De Jong this summer. Ten Hag wants him. The club is verifying his financial package. Talks are taking place, but Xavi definitely doesn't want him to leave. So it's very obvious that Ten Hag wants De Jong. I think it's very obvious he's his first choice signing. It's about, can Ten Hag convince De Jong to come? Ten Hag probably watched us versus Crystal Palace. Ten Hag probably looked at the state of our midfield versus Crystal Palace and was thinking, fucking hell, get me Frenkie de Jong. Mike Way, very, very reliable Dutch journalist, said that Anthony, Timber and De Jong are on the table, but not everything will be feasible, saying that definitely things can happen. And Gerard Romero, he's a tier 1 journalist, but I tell you what, Gerard Romero is not a Man United fan, but I think he's begging De Jong comes to United now, because he will ruin his reputation if De Jong doesn't end up at United, because this tier 1 journalist has basically said he's 95% confident De Jong is coming to United. So if De Jong doesn't come to United, his reliability goes, and he said, Gerard Romero, I think he's panicking. I think he's clutching at straws when he says this, but he said, Frenkie de Jong gave away 5 pairs of boots and free shirts among fans earlier. He told them he wanted to say goodbye to all of those who were there every day. I think he's reporting that because he's like, oh, fucking hell, I need some signs, more signs that De Jong is leaving. And he said that De Jong said bye to the fans outside the new camp, and that's come from Gerard Romero. I think he's trying to find anything he can, because he said so confidently De Jong will come to United, and I think he's panicking that he might not. Thank you very much, Gashlav, probably haven't said your name right, for joining the members club. It means a lot. Really, really appreciated. Big up for joining the members club there as well. Seek to United, we will talk about that in a second. Jean says, Alice, apparently Barca's financial situation won't become totally clear till the end of June. Can we afford to wait that long on De Jong? I think we can, because it's obvious we're working on deals for Timber, Nunes and other players behind the scenes. Seek is a good player to get on loan, I agree. And if Ten Hag plays the same trash players Ollie and Ralph did, i.e. Maguire, Lindelof, Dalot, Fred, Torres, McTominay, he'll be sacked within 2 years. Hope he's smart enough to know better. He might not have much choice for the first season. He's going to have to play some of them, isn't he? Because we can't get rid of them all, and we can't bring in a whole new squad. But I think long term they will all be on the way out as well. Memphis Depay is a good player at Barca and Lyon, but not good at Man U. Same with Di Maria. Look, Memphis Depay, I don't think he was really right for Van Gaal either. I think he's a good player, but I think again, he's a very social media player, Memphis Depay, and I think we need to avoid that at United. Players that are too social media orientated, in my opinion, as well. If you want my thoughts, just as well, United are in the Europa League. 2 signs. I think it's good. Look, United being in the Europa League, it makes it harder to sign players, but I also think it's easier to give players game time that are maybe younger. Coming through, Tomori should play ahead of Maguire for England. It should be Tomori and Maguire. Look, I think Ben White's had a better season than Maguire. I think Stones had a better season than Maguire, but Maguire is England's best centre-back, and he is decent for England. Tyrone Mings should have been dropped for Tomori, and he was, and that's the right decision. Maguire is better than Tyrone Mings. If you think Maguire is shit, Watch Tyrone Mings. He's Villa's captain. He's more shit than Maguire. I'll tell you that now. He's only a Premier League level centre back because he's left-footed. Would you take Sears from Chelsea if Chelsea allowed him to leave? I would. I've always said this. Siak, I would take. I wouldn't pay more than 30 million for him. Left-footed, right winger, can break down the low block, creative, brilliant under 10. I would take Siak at United. I'd take Siak. I'd take Scamacca, and they would be my striker and right winger that I would take. I think Nunes and Cuckoo, brilliant, too expensive. I'd take Sears and Scamacca. You could get them for probably just less than you could get Darwin Nunes for. That is what I would do. I think Anthony would be brilliant, but I don't think we'd be able to get Anthony and Timber, and it would be harder for Ajax to replace Anthony. But personally, I would take Siak. A lot of people are like, oh, he's too injury prone, he's shit. He was brilliant under Ten Hag. I think he's 27 or 26. So still relatively young. Siak age, this is when he's like 30. Oh god, let me Google it. He's 29. Oh, okay, he's 29. No, I'd still take him. He's probably got a few years left in him. But I don't like buying players over 27 because it is a long-term project. But I think maybe if he's under 25 mil, you take a risk on him. To be fair, I thought he was like 27 still. That's just me being an idiot. But there we go. But he's an interesting player. What former Man U player would you take back if you could? Roy Keane in his prime is exactly what we need. CDM, the attitude, the mentality, fantastic player. You know, look, we had Paul Scholes, who was brilliant. We had Rooney, who was brilliant. We had Cantona, that was brilliant. But I think Roy Keane in his prime, it would just be like what United need, to be honest. And why don't we look at some unknown players if we're building a new Man United, still looking for high-paid players? I agree. I think we need to find those hidden gems. I think Rangnick will be good for finding those hidden gems. I've always talked about Sousa, the left-back in the Bundesliga. I know he's quite attacking, good backup for sure. Maybe some hidden Bundesliga gems, some hidden Serie A gems. I think that's what we should be doing. Players that maybe play for mid-table clubs in other leagues but have stood out, and then they can come to United. They're young, they can get better, and they're coming here for a step up in their career. They're not coming here for the wages. I've always said, if you look at Liverpool, Alisson, Becker, Roma, Matip, Schalke, Van Dijk, Southampton, Robertson, Hull, Fabinho, Monaco, Keita, RB Salzburg, Thiago's Bayern Munich, Henderson, Sunderland. Trying to think. Wijnaldum came from Newcastle as well, but he's obviously gone. Diaz, Porto, Mane, Southampton. Salah was Roma, I believe. Firmino was Hoffenheim. That they're not coming from Bayern Munich's, Barcelona's, Real Madrid's, Chelsea's. They're coming from teams that are like not even top four in a lot of their leagues. They're coming from mid-table teams in other leagues, but they were young players that stood out in those mid-table sides. And a coach like Klopp, some good coaches have developed them into brilliant players. And I think, if you're buying big name players like, Dybala is available on a free, Ousmane Dembele is available on a free, but they're big name players. They're going to come in, demand big wages. And when things start going bad, they're going to be bad. They're going to want out because they think they'll be too good to play at a club that's not in the Champions League. They'll be on big wages. They'll be difficult to sell. But if you buy players that going to Man United, they've not already made it, they've got a point to prove, and they're not on ridiculous wages, but they're on, and they take that step up. They want to prove themselves. They want to be better, and they can be better players when they're young. And I think, I think we should do what Liverpool did with Klopp and get them hidden gems that will work hard, that are good players, that can be developed, that are not overpriced. We look abroad, look out of England, that are not overpriced, that are going to come here, prove a point. They're not coming for the money. And I think that's 100% what Man United needs to do. My hair is an absolute mess. I do apologise for that as well. There was a comment I was going to read out. Thoughts on Darwin Núñez? I think if he's 50 million or less, I'd take him. He's not the finished product. I don't think he's a good team player. I don't think he'll link up well with our players. But Ten Hag could develop him. Siak loan would be a good. I think I'd rather get Siak on loan than a permanent deal as well. A Song came from Leverkusen, exactly. And Ericsson on a free would be a smart bit of business. I agree. I did not notice Roma have Rui Patricio. Oh yeah, I remember him. But that was a good deal for Wolves because Thingy Majiggy is really good for them. So I would say Mike Manigan has been really, really impressive this season. And, he helped Lille win the league. He helped AC Milan win the league. I think he's a player United could be looking at long-term if De Gea goes, talking of a little bit of hidden gems and all of that. I want to get into some stories by Rob Dawson on ERIK Ten Hag's transfer plans. Tony, a striker. Tony's had a good season. I think he's a bit of an underrated player because he's British and he's at Brentford and all of that, but he has. Malachi is a sold left-back, or do you mean solid left-back? What about Haller? Flopped at West Ham. Don't want to buy everyone from Ajax, if I want to be honest. Scamacca looks good, but I would be shocked if he left Italy. Suspected he would go to a big club in Syria. I agree. But I want to get into Ten Hag's plans. Some really interesting stuff's come out from the Mirror and Rob Dawson of ESPN. And Rob Dawson of ESPN, oh, am I on the right one? So first thing I want to get into is Ten Hag's plan. So Rob Dawson of ESPN said there are question marks about De Gea's ability to play in Erik Ten Hag's system. This is the first thing that's come out. Rob Dawson also said that although there's an acceptance that signing a striker and a midfielder is more important than signing a goalkeeper this summer, what's sort of been reported is that, Ten Hag isn't the biggest admirer of De Gea. He's worried De Gea won't be able to play in the system. He's worried he will struggle, but he's going to give De Gea half a season till January to try and adapt and show what he can do, because the rest of the squad is so dire. And that makes sense. Look, I don't think De Gea suits Ten Hag's style of football, but I think De Gea has been so good this season and the rest of the squad has been so shit that even though a goalkeeper and having a modern goalkeeper that plays a high line, that is good with good distribution, is integral to Ten Hag's plans, when the rest of the squad has been dead shy, sometimes you have to go, yeah, we've got to sign a midfielder, defender, and fullback first. And I think De Gea has got to prove himself that he can adapt his game. Now, what's also been said is we can't sell Maguire because we're selling Bailly and Jones. We can't sell all our defenders. But sources have told that Maguire is not even guaranteed to start under Ten Hag because of his lack of pace and a tendency to play with a high defensive line. Because Ten Hag plays with a high line, and you've got to think De Gea is a goalie that doesn't really have a high line either. So there's going to be a lot of space between Maguire and De Gea because, obviously I think De Gea will adapt his game, or will have to try and adapt his game. When you look at it as well, Harry Maguire is not suited to Ten Hag's style of play to an extent, and he's apparently Harry Maguire. I don't think he'll be sold, but apparently Maguire will not be a regular starter under Ten Hag, which I expect. I think if Maguire plays under Ten Hag, he plays well. He will play more. I think if he plays like he's played this season under Ten Hag, I don't think we'll see him at all in the squad much, if I'm going to be honest with you as well. Alice, if you're looking for a finished striker product, Alexander Isak from Real Sociedad, I like him, but people are talking 80, 90 million for him as well. Van Basten thinks Timber's good for his age. Everyone I know at Ajax does not want Timber to leave. They're like in love with Timber. Apparently he's been their best player this season as well. My hair is such a mess today. I promised I brushed it. More on Ten Hag, and this is interesting. Well, not all of it. Some of it's a bit like, cool, we don't care. But Rob Dawson has said Erik Ten Hag made it clear during talks with United that it was unrealistic for them to expect a serious challenge in the Premier League overnight, something John Murtagh, Darren Fletcher and Richard Arnold agreed with. This has come up from Rob Dawson. Now, the Mirror had said that Erik Ten Hag has ordered a full profile of all of his Manchester United players before he meets them in person. Ten Hag sort of wants to get to know the players, wants people to analyse them, know everything about the players before he meets them. And it's also been said by the Mirror that Ten Hag is said to want to know all about the United players' family and home life so we can make a full assessment of their character and how they lead their life. I think Ten Hag wants to do that because Ten Hag's number one priority is to sort out dressing room issues. That's what Ten Hag wants to deal with. And if he knows what the home situation is like, if he knows how they are attentive to social media, what kind of personality they are, he can know, are they going to be someone reading about themselves all the time on social media? I think he wants to judge their character, their life, how they adapt to situations and all of that, which, fair enough. There's a lot of problems going in the dressing room. I think he wants to check in and make sure everyone is okay as well. The Mirror said that Ten Hag has warned Manchester United players that they've got to stay in peak condition for when they return and prepare for the most demanding pre-season of their career. And I think it will be the most demanding pre-season of their career. It's very obvious from what we saw, especially the second half of the season. Man United players are incredibly unfit, especially compared to other Premier League level players. We're not at the same fitness levels as City, Liverpool. Even Everton are more fit than us, and they almost got relegated. Our players are very unfit. It was also said by the Mirror that Erik Ten Hag has wasted no time in asserting his authority by demanding to know where all of his players are going on the summer break. Ten Hag's determined to know his players inside and out before he starts working with them. Again, Ten Hag wants to get to know his player. And the Mirror also said that a former United player who played under Ten Hag has understood to tell his old teammates that they will be dreaming about pressing in their sleep. And what I gather is Ten Hag wants to know the players, wants to learn about the character, wants to learn about the ability. Ten Hag, first of all, before he buys and sells anyone, wants to know what's gone wrong this season, who were the problem causers, who were causing trouble in the dressing room, and then get to know his players, their character, their mentality, get to know them, and then get them fit. I think Ten Hag's number one priority isn't working on patterns of play and drills. I think Ten Hag's number one priority for pre-season will be fitness, because those players are incredibly unfit and they need to get up to fitness again as well. I agree. Also came out from the Disco Mirror that although Ten Hag has held Zoom chats and exchanged WhatsApp messages with some of the players, he wants to build a complete picture of all of them, wants to get to know them all. The Mirror also said that Man United players have been told about Ten Hag's fierce side and how he can strike fear into players just by giving a certain look if they do not do what he demands. Discipline is exactly what these United players need. I like that Ten Hag has a fierce side And the Mail have also said that Erik ten Hag's priority is a midfielder striker on a disciplined budget of around 80 million plus whatever he can generate through sales, which again, a little bit off topic, but I just thought I'd include that in that section of stories. So lots of interesting stories that come out about Ten Hag as well. Roma won Feyenoord 0. Oh, fucking hell, I forgot it was the Conference League finals today, isn't it? Well, I want Roma to win because obviously Jose Mourinho, I do like a bit of Jose Mourinho, so hopefully Roma get the dub as well. So Sanilo with the goal as well. Someone said Ajax don't sell cheap. It will be closer to 55 million for Timber. They've got 45 for Davinson Sanchez, and they don't want to do United favours after taking their manager. We have a great relationship with Ajax. We have a great relationship with Van der Sar, and I think Timber will be no more than £40 million. We're only 88 likes away from 200 likes, guys, so please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. We're also 10 subscribers away from 37.1k, so please do subscribe if you're new to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more. I'm doing daily Manchester United content on all the latest transfer news, gossip, bish, bash, bosh. So please do click that subscribe button. I've got a couple other stories to get into. Barcelona want nothing less than 80 million euros for Frenkie de Jong. This has come out now from Fabrizio Romano. 80 million euros, I believe, is 60 million pounds. I'm going to do euros to pounds, though, to check that. Euros to pounds what is 80 million euros? 80 million, that's million, is 67 million. So 67.9. So 80 million euros is 68 million pounds. Reportedly, Ten Hag, what the fuck is she on, Alice? Romano is saying that, Frenkie de Jong will cost us 68 million pounds, which I still think is a decent price as well. Also, it's come up from Alex Crook today that Palace would be keen to re-sign Wan-Bissaka, but they will not pay anywhere near the 50 million. I mean, that's basically saying water's wet. I think we'll get no more than 20 million for Wan-Bissaka, and I think it is what it is as well. And obviously, another midfielder, centre-back, right-back and forward will be Ten Hag's dream because ERIK Bailly, Dean Henderson will be two players definitely departing Manchester United as well. Romano's also come out with a Pau Torres update saying Pau Torres would be open to a move to United this summer. Villarreal would be open to discuss a price tag despite a 60 million release clause. I wouldn't pay any more than 40 million pounds for Pau Torres, if I'm going to be honest with you, especially if we can get Timber for less than 40. I wouldn't be looking to pay more than 40 million pounds for Pau Torres. United looking at Pau Torres, United looking at Timber. United have got a decision to make, Pau Torres or Timber. It's easy to see. It's not easy to say. We will see which way that they go as well. But a lot of people saying that Tyrell Malachi is looking very, very nice in the Europa Conference League final. I completely forgot it was the Europa Conference League final today. To be fair, I just don't care as well. Also, if you want to hear about Jurriën Timber, when United need a right back, the difference Timber has over Pau Torres is he's more flexible because he can play as a centre back and a right back in Ten Hag's system as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe down below if you're new. Please do share the video and all of that. And a lot of people saying Timber over Pau Torres. People saying they'd rather even get Ndika over Pau Torres. I think Ndika's a very good, very underrated centre-back as well. De Jong is worth that. I'd spend more on De Jong than I would for Núñez. I would as well. De Jong's only 24, or he's just turned 25, hasn't he? I think De Jong's just turned 25. I would be getting Frenkie de Jong in a heartbeat. I would spend 68 million pounds for Frenkie de Jong. If you look at the state of our midfield, if you compare our midfield to other teams' midfields, our midfield is shambolic. Our midfield is an absolute state, and I would be spending a lot of money on someone like Frenkie de Jong because we need him. Pogba's gone, Matic has gone. It's literally Fred and Bruno. We've all seen how poor Fred and Bruno have been this season. They've been absolutely atrocious. There's no denying it. They have been absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, 100 million%. I'll be looking at someone like De Jong, and I'm willing to spend the money on him. Lamptey's going to play for Ghana over England. That's going to be a big miss because I know we've got so many good right backs, but I think Lamptey's up there. But look, if I was Lamptey, I'd be annoyed that I haven't really been given the chance yet. But he's been injured and all that. Aarons isn't all that. I don't want Max Aarons. Rio's just pushing it because he's at his agency. I don't want it. And Dika's going to play Champions League next year. That's the thing. Will he want to play another season at Frankfurt and the Champions League as well? Maybe go 75 million for De Jong. I think we can get De Jong for less than 70 million as well. I'm more concerned with our entire midfield and back lines distribution more than De Gea. Same here. Look, I don't think De Gea's distribution is great. I don't think he's perfect, but I just think our midfield and defence is such a mess, that's what the priority is. Nottingham or Huddersfield for the Premier League. Hopefully Nottingham. I want to see Forest back in the Premier League. Jed Spence, I would like him, but he is an inverted wing back. I don't know if he'd work in Ten Hag's system, if I'm going to be honest with you. But we do need to strengthen that midfield as well. I want to do a little build lineup game with you guys. You know I love a cheeky build lineup game. And, you know, I want to look at really ways that United could possibly line up next season. I think that would be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Chosen 11 website. Yeah, free shout out. Promise it's not a promo. And I'm going to get my 4-2-3-1 formation up. And we're going to look at potential options for what Ten Hag could do next season. And then I will do a cheeky Q&A with you guys in the chat as well. But let me share my screen. Boosh, bash, bosh. There we go. Can you see that? Can you see it? Yes, you can. So obviously, we're going to think about what Ten Hag will do next season. So there's going to be David De Gea, and I think Ronaldo will stay. And there's going to be Ronaldo. Okay, they're guaranteed starters. I think Sancho is also a guaranteed starter, and they're the only 3 players that I will say I guarantee you they will be starting next season under ERIK Ten Hag. They're the only 3 players I think they will start. Now, I think we could get a left back, but I think Luke Shaw on his day is a good enough left back and will probably start. If I'm being honest, I think Bruno, despite his poor season, will probably start. But I think, you know, Donny could maybe play that. I think Donny will play deeper, but I don't think we'll be getting a 10. Maybe Eriksen on a 3, but I think he is Spurs bound. So I've gone Bruno and Donny. Now, they're the only players that I think they'll start. Now, I believe Varane will start for Man United, and I'm going to put Varane in. And I believe it will probably be, because of the reports that Maguire's future is unsure, I will go with Lindelof. And I will go with Dalot, but hopefully United sign a fullback. Now, this is where it gets interesting. What are United going to do next season? Who are we going to sign? Who are we going to bring in? Now, we know De Jong is Ten Hag's #1 dream transfer. We also know Ten Hag would like Timber. Now, the reason I'm putting Timber here is because he's young and only 20. I think he will start as a third centre-back for United and sort of be brought in and developed in. And I think Timber would also serve as backup for Dalot with Wan-Bissaka going. Now, I think if I'm going to predict something, it would look something like that. I think Rashford could be the right winger for now, and Ahmad and Garnacho could be the backup. I think we'll see Garnacho get an opportunity. I also think we'll see Mejbri get an opportunity. This is the position where we're a bit iffy. Is there going to be a CDM? Are we going to sign a CDM? Are we going to sign a defensive midfield player that could play in the pivot with De Jong? Would it be Lemar? Would it be Enzo Fernandez? Will it be Neves, Basuma? You know, who's going to play there? And, you know, I feel like we're only going to sign one midfielder and we're going to see something annoying, something that we don't want to see, like McTominay and De Jong. Fred and De Jong, do you know what I mean? But I'm going to put Fred as De Jong's backup, and I'm going to try and put his name in. I'm going to have to double check how to spell his name, but I'm going to show you what I would do. Florian Grillitich. Now, I can't spell his name to save my life. I'm just Googling his name so I can copy and paste, because, guys, when I say I'm bad with foreign names, I am. So I'm going to go with someone like this as a free transfer, because, hear me out, there's not many CDMs that we can get. And then I'm going to go that his backup is going to be Garner, okay? And I think Garner could come back in. I don't know, though. I think Lindelof's backup will be Maguire. I think United should look at Sousa from the Bundesliga. And I know he's a wing-back, and I don't know if he suits Ten Hag's system, but he could be backup for sure. I don't know who backup for De Gea is. There's talks about Johnston, but this is sort of my lineup / being a bit realistic for next season as well. Now, realistically, I don't want Rashford on the right wing. In fact, I would put Rashford as Sancho's backup on the left wing. And personally, myself, I'd be looking to get someone like Ziyech on loan. I would like someone like Ziyech if we can get him on loan for a season. I don't know if we'll be able to here. And then I would like, again, I don't know if this is realistic, but Scamacca. Is that how you spell his name? I'm really bad with spelling Holland names. Scamacca. Is that right? Scamacca. That's right. So this would be my sort of lineup for next season. I'm just going to do this, though. This is my kind of lineup for next season, which, you know, it's not the most amazing lineup. It's not brilliant, but look, we can't get Tchouaméni, we can't get Kamara, we can't get Rice, We can't get Osimhen. We can't get Kane. You know, I'm trying to be somewhat realistic. I think long term, you need to get, you know, you'd even need a new goalie. You need a Ronaldo replacement next season. But the way I look at it is we get a fullback in, we get a centre-back in. So the fullback Sousa, the centre-back's Timber, who people think, I see a lot of predicted lineups where it's Timber and Varane as the starting centre-backs. Cool, that's what we want to see, cool. But I think Timber, because he's so young and no Premier League experience, could just be sort of blended in and might be the third centre-back for a little bit. I've gone with Grealish and De Jong as the midfielders because one's 3 and one's a fucking brilliant midfielder. Pogba, Matic's replacement. I've gone with Garner and Fred as the backups. I've gone with Bruno as the 10 still. Despite him being poor, he's got a new contract. He did carry us for a season and a half. When he's good, he's good. When he's shit, he's shit. Donny as his backup, but I could see Donny playing deeper. I've gone with Sancho on the left, who I guaranteed 10 Hag starter. A Ziyech loan on the right with Ahmed and Garnacho. And then I've gone with Rashford to back up Sancho, and I've gone with Ronaldo and Scamacca as his backup. I don't know if Scamacca will want to be his backup, but I think for me that would be my sort of approach as well. And Cuckoo, I'd like Cuckoo. I'd like Gravenberch. Palestri could get a chance as well. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's, you know, this is an interesting lineup. People won't like it, but I'm trying to be realistic here. I'd like Lema as well. Malasaya is a beast. Apparently, he's playing really well. Is it Malachi or Malasaya or something as well? And I really don't see any reason why we should sign De Jong. We've got Mejbri and others in the academy. If Ten Hag's half the manager, he'll be able to get someone. Look, you know, Mejbri could be the next McTominay. You never know. You know, look at McTominay and Fred. We stuck with academy players for so long, didn't work. We need a quality midfielder. Anthony wants to come with Ten Hag. We should focus on a player like that. Anthony does want to come to United. I would like Anthony at United, but I don't know if they were Ajax would be super keen on selling Anthony. It's very hard to find a replacement. That, you know, attackers are very thin in the market right now as well. Will Donny be good enough? I think, you know, Donny could be, you know, give Donny a chance. I think he's better than McTominay as well. Gravenberch set for Bayern, and I think that's a fantastic deal. Won't happen, but swaps it for Maguire. Maguire would work in Chelsea's back. But yeah, I agree. I think it would be a really smart move, even if it was like a loan deal swap move for a season. I think it would be really smart as well. However, I think if we are selling Bailly and Jones, I don't think we can actually afford to lose Maguire. And people will laugh at me for saying that, but it's not as bad as we make out. He's just been crap this season. He's not a captain. But I think, you know, with the lack of depth at United, you know, and how well Maguire plays for England, you know, if Varane gets injured, we're down to Lindelof and Timber. If Timber gets injured, we're down to Lindelof and Xavier that's been crap. So you do need Maguire. So if Maguire plays well for England, scores and keeps a clean sheet, will Ten Hag be forced to start him in the league? No, I think Ten Hag's the type of manager where he will give Maguire an opportunity. But I think if Maguire's poor, he won't play. And look, Ten Hag reportedly actually doesn't really want Maguire. Maguire doesn't suit Ten Hag's style of play. I think we have to wait and see what happens with Ten Hag and Maguire. From DM to CDM to right back to left back to CD. I don't know what you mean by CD. What about Mason for next season? Honestly, I get asked about Mason Greenwood a lot. And look, Mason Greenwood's situation's gone very quiet. And I see a lot of people on Twitter going, why is there so much about Kurt Zuma and his cat and so little about Mason Greenwood in the media? And I think it's just pure respect to the victim. You know, I mean, look, poor cat, but the cat's not a human. Do you know what I mean? Not, you know, poor cat. But what I mean is, I think the Mason Greenwood situation is very quiet in the media because, one, you've got to be careful what you say because it's all alleged and, you know, you don't want it to be sued. And two, you've got to think of Harriet, respect Harriet and all of that. I generally think forget Mason Greenwood, okay? I think, you know, there's a chance he'll be found not guilty. It's very difficult to prosecute people in those kind of cases. But, like, we've all heard the audio tape. It's not a nice audio tape. It's horrible. It's horrible. I think even if he's found not guilty, I think a lot of fans won't be able to forgive him. I think a lot of fans will believe he's guilty. I think people have made up their mind despite the verdict. I think, you know, if he's not guilty, he'll come back. Will he play? Will he, you know, is that going to affect him? Will he reach his potential? You know, when he had problems, you know, you've got to remember with Greenwood, he had that little problem with Southgate and Iceland and girls and Foden early on in the season. And he was shit for the first half of that season. He had a lot of problems. I just think that Mason Greenwood's a brilliant talent. Mason Greenwood, when he was playing as a striker, the first few games of the season for Man United was fantastic. You know, 4 goals and 4 as a striker. This is our striker for the future. He is the shit. I think he's amazing. I think he's brilliant. But I don't think he will play for us again. And I think people are sad about it, you know, wasted potential, wasted talent, all of that. It is sad because I think he's what we needed. I think he would fix a lot of problems if he didn't do what he did or what he allegedly did. But at the end of the day, if he's done what he's allegedly done. You don't want someone like that playing for United, because that he could have ruined someone's life. He might have ruined someone's life. So, with Greenwood, I think we just have to forget him. I don't think he'll play again. I think it's a shame, but I think, you've got to figure the victim. And I know it's all quiet on Greenwood. I know it's court cases in 2 weeks. We'll wait and see. But, it's a shame, because I think it's what we need. But, do you want someone like that playing for your club? Do you want someone like that representing your club? Because, United care about social media. United care how they look. And it's just not a good look. And, and I do want to say something, because Harriet, the victim, I follow on Instagram. I look at her Instagram comments, and they're absolutely vile. And whether you love Mason Greenwood and you think you're a liar and you think that she's a liar and all of that, keep that opinion to yourself, because, she might have gone through something catastrophic. She is a victim here, allegedly. So, I see a lot of United fans sending her abuse and Freemason. Just mature, grow up from that. Do not send her abuse, okay? Just don't get involved. Just, do you know what I mean? I just think it's horrible that she's getting a lot of abuse as well. I just wanted to throw that out as well. But back onto a more interesting topic. Is Martial's loan at Sevilla? Sevilla basically said Martial was shite and they don't want him anymore as well. What happened with De Jong? De Jong's got to leave Barcelona. Can United convince him to come? And all of that. And Diego says, congrats on Marcus Rashford to get engaged to his childhood sweetheart. Yeah, I mean, look, a positive story about Rashford. He's engaged, happy off the pitch. Hopefully will perform better off the pitch. So big up Marcus Rashford as well. But yeah. And did you forget Alanga? Look, I think Alanga's a good player, can be developed into a good player. I think he's just a team player to play in and about as well. Martial wants to leave and should go, but not much interest in the market. His attributes could suit Ten Hag as a backup. I think Martial would be good under Ten Hag. I think Martial is one of Manchester United's most talented and technically gifted players. And people will laugh, but I think Martial is one of our most talented and technically gifted players. But I think he's got a bit of an attitude problem. And I think you do need to get rid of players with attitude problems at United. But I think if Martial got the right attitude, he wanted to stay here and he wanted to prove himself under Ten Hag, I think he'd be brilliant. The problem is with Martial is I don't think he's got the best attitude. I don't think he wants to be here. I don't think he wants to stay. I don't think he wants to prove himself. And, he likes to be the main man. He's got, Cavani came in, he wasn't the main striker anymore. He got a bit, I like Martial. I think he's a fantastic player. I really do. I think he's one of our most technically gifted players, but he's got a bit of an attitude problem. He needs to work on himself. And if he doesn't want to be here, sell him. I would like to keep Martial. I think it would solve our striker issues. I actually think he is good enough. He's just not showing it. But yeah, look, if you don't want to be here, he's just one of those players you've got to get rid of as well. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised we want to recruit so many players. We've been saying to Ten Hag about developing youngsters. We need to recruit a lot of players. There's going to be 10, 11, 12 players leaving as well. That's the thing as well, to be honest. And look, guys, I am going to end the live here. I know it hasn't been a super, super long live stream, and I'm just very tired, if I'm going to be honest with you. There will be a live stream tomorrow. There will be a more interesting live stream tomorrow. I'm going to end the live stream here. But what I will say is, if you're not subscribed, do subscribe. Please do subscribe, because I will be live tomorrow night with some more transfer news, some more updates. If I didn't read out your live chat, just subscribe and post notification bell on and put it in my next video. I'll try and read it out in my next video. If there's a bid for Timber, if there's any big updates on Timber and De Jong to United, I will be live tomorrow. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, I will be live tomorrow giving you all the latest on Timber, De Jong and more. I think there could be an update, a big update on Timber or De Jong coming this week. I think it's a little bit quiet at the moment, but I think a big update is coming soon. So if there's a bid, agreement, a deal is done, we sell a player, we buy a player. If there's a big update, if you want to stay up to date on all the latest with Timber, De Jong, Nunes, other transfer targets, Pau Torres, make sure you're subscribed, smash the like button, share the video. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you next time.